All right, overall, great job on quizzes yesterday. Really good job. A few things here and there, some terms we need to make sure we're keeping abreast of, and want to review over your angles a little bit more. Two angles, class, that add up to 180 degrees would be supplementary angles. Again, notice the spelling, supplementary angles. What about this angle? It's bigger than 180 degrees. Reflex angle, an angle that's exactly 90. Right angle. Here, class, we have a straight angle. Why do you think it's called a straight angle? Straight line. How many degrees in it? 180 degrees. These lines intersect to form two pairs of what we call, class, vertical angles. What do we know about angle 1 and angle 3, class? So therefore they're equal. If they're vertical, they're equal. What about 2 and 4, class? They've got to be equal because they are vertical angles. What about angle 1 and 2? They share the same vertex. They have a side between them. 1 and 2, class, are called adjacent angles. What's true about these particular adjacent angles?
They add to 180.
They add up to 180, so therefore they are supplementary. What about two angles that add up to 90 degrees? Complementary angles. An angle less than a right angle? Acute. If it's bigger than the right angle but smaller than the straight angle? Obtuse. These two angles are adjacent angles because they have that common vertex, the common side between them. So again, these angles are supplementary because they add up to
180.
Reflex angle. Right angle.
Straight angle.
Here we have a couple pairs of vertical angles. Complementary angles. Acute angle. And these are adjacent angles. By the way, these are supplementary, right? And we said these are complementary as I throw some things on the floor, right? Complementary at up to 90, supplementary at up to 180. Here's another way to remember it. 90 comes before 180, right?
Yeah.
C comes before S alphabetically. If that helps you keep them straight. If you were getting confused, which one's which? 90 comes before 180, C comes before S. If that helps you at all to remember some of those things. Got to make sure we keep it up with those. You had a little bit of this in the homework last night. So have your books open to page 161. And you did 1 through 17. We're going to take a look at page 160, the previous page, in just a moment. So 161. And you did the 1 through 17. There we go. And there's that. Okay. So there's those three and the 1 through 17. Here's the 1 through 17. You actually did more than you needed to. And then just didn't finish J. Do J real quick.
Okay.
Good. Si, senor. Excelente. All right. Well, let's take a look at number 1. It says, using symbols, write line A, B is perpendicular to line D, E. How would we write that out? Michael?
A with a normal line over it, with the arrows at the ends. Upside down T, and DE with the line with arrows.
Perfect. Number 2, what kind of angle contains more than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees? Luciana? Obtuse angle. Number 3, if P and Q, if angle P and angle Q are complementary angles, what does that mean, Bryson? They add up to 90. And angle P is 74 degrees. What's the measure of angle Q?
16.
16 degrees is correct. Number 4, we haven't talked about this term in a while, class. What is a flat surface that extends infinitely in all directions?
Plane.
A plane, very good. All these figures we've been talking about so far are plane figures because they can be drawn on a piece of paper. Number 5, if L, length, equals 7 inches and W, width, equals 4 inches, what's the perimeter of the rectangle, Jalen? Number 5.
Number 5. P equals 22 inches.
22 inches. Double the length, double the width, add those things together. Number 6, if two sides of an equilateral triangle measure 20 centimeters each, what's the measure of the third side? This actually goes into something we haven't quite looked at yet. Who remembers from earlier in their elementary years what an equilateral triangle is? A few of you do. Say, what's an equilateral triangle? All sides are equal. So if two of the sides are 20 centimeters each, what's the third side? 20 centimeters. Good. If you missed that, don't worry about it. We haven't talked about those just yet. We'll be getting to those soon. Number 7, what's the name for any 8-sided polygon? Ben.
8-sided.
Number 7.
Octagon.
Octagon is correct. Think octopus, 8 tentacles, octagon, 8-sided polygon. Number 8, what was the perimeter of that parallelogram? Kirsten.
26 centimeters. Right.
Yes, 26 centimeters is correct. Number 9, what is the perimeter of that triangle? Griffin.
31 millimeters.
31 millimeters. By the way, does anyone remember what we would call this triangle since 2 of the sides are marked as being equal?
Oh.
Got a couple hesitant hands. You think you remember, Sam?
Would it be a cute triangle?
Well, it actually is, but that's not what I'm looking for. Isosceles. How many remember learning that in years past? You'll learn it this year and coming up soon. Isosceles triangle. You don't have to know that yet. Number 10. We obviously have a square with a 15-inch side. What's the perimeter, Corey?
60 inches.
60 inches. Very good. Number 11. What are the 3 names for that angle, Elaine?
Angle N, angle MNO, angle ONM.
Excellent. Number 12. Nice loud answer, too, so the camera could hear you. Number 12. What are the 3 names for that angle, Jalen?
Angle U, angle TUV, angle VUC.
Excellent. Number 13. The 3 names for that angle. Michael.
Angle G, angle HEF, angle FGH.
Yes, that is correct. Angle FGH, angle HGF, and of course angle G. Yes. Number 14, wanted you to find the complement and supplement of each angle. Luciana, number 14, what's the complement of 63 degrees?
27 degrees.
And what's the supplement?
117 degrees.
Excellent. 27 degrees and 117 degrees, your answers respectively. Number 15, angle J is 85 degrees. What is the complement, Bryson? Yeah, 5 degrees. And what about the supplement? Uh-oh, what should we have done for the supplement? Subtract away from 180 degrees to get what answer, Bryson?
150.
Uh-oh. Help him, Sam. Kirsten, help.
95.
95 degrees. There we go. 5 degrees the complement, 95 degrees the supplement. How about number 16? 15 degrees for angle N. Ben, what's the complement?
75.
Degrees is the complement, and then the supplement?
165.
165 degrees. Good. Number 17. They gave you one of the angles with those intersecting lines. By the way, those lines almost look perpendicular, don't they, class? And they almost are, because the angle they give you is 87 degrees. That's really close to a right angle. Just a little bit off. Well, we need to find the measure of the other angles. First of all, what do we do to find angle 1, Jalen?
Subtract 87 from
180, right? Subtract from 180. What do we get for the measure of angle 1, Jalen?
93 degrees.
93 degrees. Angle 2 doesn't require any math, Griffin.
87.
87 degrees. And if we've already done the math to find angle 1 is 93 degrees, then Corey, angle 3 must be?
93 degrees.
93 degrees also. Excellent. Any questions on the 1 through 17 review stuff on page 161? Anyone perfect on 1 through 17? You got them all? Anyone just missed 1 or 2 things? Last call, any questions on that stuff? Yes, ma'am.
On number 12, I didn't on letter B. Did I say both of those like the same way?
Angle TUV and angle VUT? No, I heard 2 separate things.
Okay.
Yep. All right, then of course angle U is the other way. All right, looking across the page now, you were given a few angles that you were supposed to measure using your protractor. And I want to quickly review over how to use the protractor to measure an existing angle. The first angle looks something like this, and I made a video for those watching on YouTube if you needed to kind of see it with an actual on-paper protractor. We worked on this in class yesterday, so we're going to line the notch or the hole up with a vertex. We're going to line up our 180 degree line or the black line on our protractor with the one side of the angle and just see where does it cross. In most cases, class, your angle was too little to actually reach the protractor, right? Usually it came out kind of like this, to where you'd have to go through and actually extend the line yourself first and then see where does it cross. You also had to make a decision. This is really close to 110 and 70. But which of these is actually legitimate, class? 70, because this is clearly an acute angle. So we're going to ignore the bigger thing. It's not quite to my 70 on the board at least. It looks like it's about one, maybe what would be 2 tick marks shy. It'd be 68, 69 degrees on the board. But number 25, how many degrees was that angle? Griffin?
Number 1 on it?
Page 160 at the bottom of the page. Number 25, angle E. Griffin, how big is the angle when you measured it?
About 77 degrees.
You're within a few. 80 degrees is what the book has. So if you were anywhere from 77 to 83, you're within the margin of error. How about angle I for number 26? What did you measure that one to be, Kirsten?
137 degrees.
Ooh, no. We'll come take a look in just a moment at that. Bryson?
150 degrees.
Should have been 150 degrees. 150 degrees, within a few degrees of that. What about number 27? Let me come back to Kirsten, see how she did on number 27.
52 degrees.
Oh, still off by a little too much. Michael?
43 degrees.
You're within margin of error. The book says 40 degrees. So let me give you the answers one more time. 80, 150, 40. If you're within 3 degrees of those, on all 3 of them, you were within the margin of error on all 3 of them, raise your hand. You were good on all 3. Ooh, how many were off on just one of them? How many of the one you were off was 26, the obtuse angle? Anyone off on the obtuse angle, okay? Let me take a look. If you've got some questions here, let's take a look at these very quickly together. So we line that up. See how it's hitting right almost to the 150 with you? Okay, so maybe your extension of the line needs to be a little straighter. Who else was needing some help? I know Kirsten, we were looking at this one. Oh, you got to line up the black line with the side. So it's got to line up. Now you see it's almost hitting that 150. And then this one, we got to line up the black line with that side. We see it's hitting right around 40. All right, you were good?
Yeah, but is that like, is the question applies for the test?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 degrees on the test or quizzes as well. Oh, I can't even see where it crosses. That's the problem. So you got to really extend this out because you don't have a see-through protractor. So you're going to come all the way out. Use your pencil real quick. Extend that thing out. Okay, now when I put the vertex here, I can get that. Now I see it's crossing pretty close to 150. Right? So that's the key. You've got to extend it really, really far or else you're not going to be able to tell what it is. Anyone else needed some help on those? Or did I get everybody that needed help? All right. I think another thing that might help is as we go through drawing angles. So flip back to page 153, and as we talk about drawing angles, that may also help you understand how to measure angles as well. Go and get out a blank sheet of paper, if you would, please. Get out a blank sheet of paper so you can draw some angles on loose paper first, and then we'll do some other stuff here. But let's start with a blank sheet of paper. An angle, remember, consists of 2 line segments or 2 rays. Question? Just use what you got, unless it's broken. A line segment consists of 2 rays or 2 line segments, right? It doesn't matter how you draw the first one, as long as the second one rotates the proper number of degrees from the first. So for starters, when you draw an angle, class, take the straight edge of your protractor and just draw a line. Now, if you've got a metal one, Luciana, draw a really long line on your paper. Once you have drawn that, take the protractor, line up the notch with the vertex. If you want to draw a little dot, you can to make sure the dot goes in the circle. And line up the black line or bottom edge or 180 degree line with that line that you just drew, depending on how your protractor works. Let's suppose we want to draw a perfect 35 degree angle. Well, there's 2 sets of numbers we're looking at, correct? Yes. But starting at the line, do you see the numbers that start saying 10, 20, 30? Those are the numbers you're looking at. 10, 20, 30. Go to the tick mark between the 30 and the 40 on the outside edge. It'll actually look like it's between 140 and 150. That's okay. We know it's really between 30 and 40. And make a little tick mark. Then move your protractor and use the straight edge to connect your tick mark back to the vertex. And you've got a 35 degree angle. Make sense? The key is look at the proper set of numbers. Let's suppose we wanted to make a 72 degree angle? Well, for starters class, just draw a line. And again, if you've got a metal protractor that you cannot see through, draw that line nice and long. If you want to put a little dot at the end, you could. I don't necessarily recommend it, but you could. I've seen people do that. Line up your protractor so that that black line or 180 line or bottom edge of protractor, depending on yours, lines up. Now, if we want to find 70 degrees, what's the other number with the 70 class?
110.
110. Does everyone see that there's a 70 here and a 70 here on your protractor? There's two different 70s. Which 70 should I use? This one on the left or the one on the right? The one on the right. If I go to the one on the left, I'm going to be going past 90, right? That would be obtuse. 72 should be acute. Now that's 70 right here. But if I'm rotating, watch my hand. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Use the outer edge to go 1, 2 tick marks past. Go 2 little tick marks past using the outside edge. Technically, it'll look like 108. That's okay. It's 2 tick marks past where you know 70 is. Then connect that tick mark back to the end of your line, and you've got a 72 degree angle. Follow? But what about obtuse angles? What if I wanted to draw a 120 degree angle? Well, for starters class, you draw a line. Again, metal protractor. Can't see through it. Draw it really long. Put your protractor in the proper position. I have to go bigger than 90. So we all see where 90 is. I've got to go 100, 110, 120. It's going to look like 60 or 120. But we all understand if we're rotating this way, we've got to go all the way to that set of numbers. And then connect the dots. If you have an acute angle, you're looking at the wrong set of numbers. Just like on the previous two, if you had an obtuse angle, you were looking at the wrong set of numbers. Now you might be wondering, Mr. Dasky, why, oh why, are there 2 sets of numbers? Well, because although we don't like to draw them this way, it is possible, class, that the vertex could be on this end, couldn't it? And the angle could open this way. That's not how we conventionally draw angles, but I mean it could. So now I would be going 10, 20, 30, 40, let's just say 50 right here. Well, this is an acute 50 degree angle. It just rotated opposite of what we're used to seeing. That's why there's 2 sets of numbers. I would say this, make your life easy. Always draw them the same way. My encouragement, because I know what's coming in later levels of math, is just always draw them so they open what's called counterclockwise. You'll learn later math, that's considered a positive rotation angle. That's negative rotation. That's weird. That's bad. We don't want that. Open them up going this way. That way you're always consistently looking at the same scale. Does that make sense? That's why there's 2 scales on there. Any questions on how to draw angles? Flip your paper over, that blank sheet of paper that you had. And on page 157, at the very top of the page, they tell you 6 different angles they want you to draw. So page 157, at the top of the page, numbers 37 to 42, you draw on your paper all 6 of those angles. I'm going to put them on the chalkboard. I'm going to give you a head start. I'll put them on the chalkboard, and you look at yours and see, do they look like mine? Right? So on the back side of that blank sheet of paper, draw 6 angles, the 6 that they want you to draw, top of page 157. I would use the outer edge So you line this up, line that little notch up, or better yet, that 180 mark way over here. And so the first one was what? What was the first angle they wanted? Okay, so here's 0, 10, 20. This right here would be 20, but I don't quite want 20. I want 2 tick marks short. You see how that's 2 tick marks short? That's what you're going to connect back to your vertex, just like that. Don't use, no, because the inside set doesn't have the single ticks. You want the use of the single ticks, and the single ticks are on the outer edge. So that's how we'll want to do it. Yeah, if you need help as you're working independently, I'm going to start putting these on the board in just a moment. If you're saying, I'm still kind of struggling, Mr. Dasky, here's your chance to get some one-on-one help. So if you're needing some help, yes, absolutely. Raise your hand. That's why I'm here. That's why they pay me. To help you. Which one? 18. Okay. So line up the hole. There's the dot right there. And there's your line right up there with 180, correct? Alright. So we're looking at 0, 10, 20, 30. Now you see, it doesn't say 10 right here, but you know the 10 is right there. 20 is right here. If this is 20, 19, 18 is going to be that tick line. And that's what you'll trace back. You'll just connect those dots like we wouldn't, like, can everybody connect the dots? We get to play connect the dots. We don't get nap time, but at least we can play connect the dots. And here's our 18 degrees. Does that make sense? All right. Good. Anyone else needing some help? All right, I'm going to start putting up the angles on the board so you can compare your drawing to mine. As you finish, compare your angles to my angles. If your angles look the same as my angles, we're good. If you say mine doesn't look like yours, raise your hand and I'll come help you. If you're good, you sit there and rest for a moment. If you're not good on any one of them, even if there's just one that you say, ooh, I didn't get that, mine doesn't look like yours, or I'm not sure if it looks like yours or not, raise your hand and I will come help you. If you're watching on YouTube, have your proctor help you or your parent help you. I will say this, don't be afraid to draw your lines a little longer.
Okay.
You're going really small, and small is not always better or easier in math. Bigger is usually easier and better. Yes, those look good. Whirl through amethyst colored glasses.
Minus a few. Black lines. Alright, so there's the dot, there's the one, right? So you see how I line it up. And there's 10, 20, 30. That means this right here is 30, right? This would be 35, 36, 37. That's where I make my check mark. That's what we're looking at. The others look pretty good though, so it's just that one that was giving me trouble for some reason. Alright, for the most part, these are looking pretty good.
Alright, last call. Any questions? Last call in here for questions. Alright, I want you to look now on page 157, and now you're going to do some of these in your book. The nice thing is you get to work on the flat side of the book this time, which is kind of nice. The downside is the lines are kind of short, and again, if you don't have a see-through protractor, it's going to be kind of hard to work with these. I also want to point out on number 43, class, notice the direction the ray is pointing. Notice where they place the vertex. They take the choice out of your hands on number 43 by putting the vertex at this end. Does everyone see that? So, here we have another issue. How are we supposed to put the protractor on the piece of paper? You might have to tilt the book a little bit and get creative here to get your protractor to fit. Or, what you could do is get out another sheet of paper and just draw a new ray, but I want you to have it angled this way. I want to at least have you practice a couple like this. So, on your piece of paper or in your book, if you can get creative, line up your vertex hole or mark, line up your 180 line, whatever. And now, which line are we looking at? Well, we're starting this way, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We're going to use the 60, 120 that's over here. Does that make sense? Complete your 60-degree angle. They're either in your book or on your paper, but such that it rotates that way. It's your 60-degree angle. Then do 44 and 45. So do 43 to 45 again, either in your book if you can, or if you have to put it on paper because you just can't make it work with your protractor, that's fine as well. Again, quizzes, tests are going to be on flat pieces of paper. Okay? You're not going to have those in your book, right? So I understand we're at a bit of a handicap right now trying to work in your textbook. Good. Those all look very nice. Good. I want it to be extra long. It works better when it is. Now, where's the... Yes. Good. Those look good. That looks good. Those look good. I already checked yours. You're good. Ooh. Okay, so what you want to do is when you make your little mark, you make this, put the pen on each, make sure it lines up, and then push here so it holds it all steady the whole time. If you have it on one end, it can kind of wiggle. So if you're holding up here, the bottom end can wiggle. So you want to hold it right in the middle of it. Put good, firm pressure. Good. Good. Oh, but if we're going to start on this ray, then the rotation has to start there. Also, I can't see the line sticking out because it's too short, so you're going to want to draw it longer, right? Oh. Most of you are done. A few of you are just finishing up. That's okay. If you're finished, I want you to turn over to page 161. If you're finished, if you're still working, that's fine. If you're finished, turn over to page 161. And do 28 to 30, just draw the angles. Don't do what the directions say, just draw those particular angles that are given to you at the top of page 161. Right? And then again, if you're still working on the other, that's perfectly fine. Look good, good. Oh, wait a second, your 60 looks a little too steep. So we're gonna have to get creative here, right? Line this up, flex your foot up just a little bit. And where we want to make a tick mark, see here's the 60, and so it kind of lines up right here. Does that make sense? So that's the point that we should have drawn back to there. Again, the challenge was you're trying to do it in the book, which doesn't leave you a lot of room. Let's check this one. This one had room. Okay, so here's 10, 20, 30, 40, 35 right here. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you want to make sure it's between the right two numbers. 35 between 30 and 40. Let's check this one should be good. And it's pretty much good. I mean, tiny bit off. And that's why I give 3 degrees either way. All right, page 161 now. All right. And what size angle are you making? Okay. Now hold on. Is this still lined up? There's the dot, there's the line. So once you get the dot lined up and the line lined up, you want to hold it nice and firm. Just a tiny bit off now. Not much, maybe a degree or two. Just make sure you hold it nice and firm once you get that initial measurement. All right, is everybody on page 161 now? We've all moved to page 161. All right, I'm going to go ahead and draw the 3 angles on the board again. You can use that to compare your drawings to the answers, so to speak. Again, because they don't tell me which way to draw it, I always like to have the vertex at the left end. Yeah, that's if you didn't want that line there. Those look pretty good. Those look good. 65 and that's not 150, but it's supposed to be 105.
Or
Right?
105.
I don't think that's 105. Maybe I'm wrong. Ah, okay. Do you see? Here's 100, and there's 110. You went the wrong way from 110.
On the last part.
Right, so what we want to do then, while we've got it here, make a little mark. There we go, and then come with that. Come back to this one. You got your 130, your 65, your 105. A little messy, right? So we want to make sure we clean that up. 65, 105, 30. Let me double check the 130 real quick.
It might be like a tad bit off.
Yeah, it is just a little here. So
Because when I tried to do
no,
it,
that's good. Okay.
look, when I try to do it, like, especially on these, sometimes my hand moves it a little bit.
Right, okay, so what you want to do there is, because you're right-handed, correct? So
Yeah.
when we put it, line it up here, when we line it up like this, before you draw the line, put your thumb right smack dab in the middle of it to give good firm pressure. And that way you can draw the line. It'll get a little more clear cut. But that pressure is the key to keep it from shifting. All right, you're drawing B. Hold on. Hold on. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Keep going around. We got to go a little further, don't we? There we go. Good. All right. Good. Uh-oh. Now you decided to be a little contrary here, I noticed. You can go and finish it real quick. Go and finish your angle. Where's your vertex?
Okay.
How do you know your vertex is there? How do you know you didn't shift it somehow? Oh, okay. So make sure you don't want to draw just a big long line like this. You want to make sure you pick a clear-cut endpoint. That way you can make sure it's actually lined up. And then, not too far off, right? Right here now, you decided to go backwards, right? So that means you need to use the correct scale. You're starting here, then it's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. This is your 130 if you're starting this direction. See, that's what the top row is, starting this way. The bottom row starts that way. So that should have been a much bigger angle there. Does that make sense? And again, you can tell because, wait, that's not obtuse, that's acute. And that's how you know that's not the correct angle. Good. All right, your homework for this evening. I know a little bit of a weird lesson today. I know, not very much, just kind of a little more hands-on. That's okay. A bit of a brain break, right? Not throwing a ton of terms and facts at you. So I don't think you mind too much there. I want you to do page 158 to 159, numbers 25 to 34, and the chapter 4 review A. It's at the bottom of page 159. I want you to do numbers 1 through 10. So page 158 to 159, 25 to 34, and then the chapter 4 review A, it's at the bottom of page 159, do the numbers 1 through 10. We'll go over all of this in our next lesson. Make sure you have your compasses. We haven't used them yet. Tomorrow we start using compasses, and you'll want to make sure you have those with you each lesson moving forward. All right, when the bell rings, you are dismissed. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, you did.